Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to talk about how to render this inside Rhino by using V-Ray. First of all, you will click render and make sure that you have select current render to V-Ray for Rhino. And then I'll click right here, show toolbar, goes all the way to the end and select V-Ray compact. I'll drag it here. And then the next thing is you will choose the ideal perspective for your rendering. For example, somewhere here. And then I can click named views. I'll save this perspective by click here and you can name it whatever you want. I will just choose perspective 1 and then hit OK. The next thing I will do is I will click the editor. I'll bring it here and then I'll click this little triangle here. I will just choose continue. If you haven't downloaded the material, you should go ahead and download the material. And then I'll click this object I want to render. I'll go to glass. I'll go all the way to the bottom. I'll choose this one. I'll drag it into here and then right click it, apply to selection. The next thing I will do is I will go to metal. I will choose aluminum blurry or aluminum polish, drag it here, and then I'll click this middle piece. I'll right click it, apply to selection. And then I will take care of this part. I'll go to fabric and then I'll choose this one, fabric B00 20 centimeters. I'll right click it and apply to selection. You'll realize that you have to make sure that the scale here is correct. So what I will do is I will draw a box. So I will type in 8 by 8 by 8 because the unit right here is inches. So 8 inches is around 20 centimeters. So what I will do is I'll select this object. I'll go to properties and then I'll click texture mapping. And then I will choose this one, apply box mapping from here to here and to here. Hit OK. And then I'll delete it. So if I click this and then show box mapping, you will see that this is the box mapping that you use to make sure that the size of the material will be the right one. I'll click name views, I'll click it and then goes back here. If you click this logo here and then this little hand on top of it means that it's interactive render. If you click that, after a second, you will see the rendering. And if you move this viewport around, this render will keep changing. So I will double click it, bring it here. You will realize that this glass is way too bluish and we don't want that. So I will choose the editor and I will choose glass again. And then I will just come over here to refraction. Click this one here. I'll choose it all the way white. And then if I start the rendering again, you will see that the bluish is gone. So this is good enough. The next thing I'll do is I'll go to settings. There's this environment and I'll click off this. Okay, so the environment will be completely dark. So if I render it, there's nothing here because there's no light inside of the environment. In order to fix that problem, I will just choose rectangle light. I'll draw it here, move it up, and then rotate it around. Bring it back. And if I click render again, this is what we're going to see. Okay, the environment is still too dark. There's no background or anything. In order to fix that, I will go to the right view and I would use this tool and I will draw a background. So I'll move it here just a little bit, perspective, bring it here and drag it. I'll explode it to make it a real surface instead of extrusion. And then if we render it again, this is what we need to see. It's way too bright. In order to fix that, I'll go to the editor again. I'll change this light. The intensity is 100, it's way too much. If I move it to 10.7, it's much better. And I can just adjust it. I think 20 is good enough. And if you don't want this rectangle to be too sharp, has this sharp edge, what you can do is I'll choose shape, change it to disk, and then you will see that. Right. And of course, you can put like 40 or 30 different lights inside of the environment. I'm just giving you the most basic settings. The next thing I will do is I will click right here. I will choose a material and I will just choose a generic. I will make it a little bit dark and I'll apply that to the background. Okay, so I select this surface and then I will choose apply to selection. And this is what we want. So the next thing I'll do is I will take care of the environment here. I'll click it off. I will hide this, and then I'll come inside here. I'll select this one. I'll choose the same metal material, aluminum polished, right click it, apply to selection. And then I will hide this one, hide those. We can change to shaded mode. There's this piece here, again, aluminum polished, hide it. And then I'm trying to find the surface right here. Okay, this is the one we really want. I will lock it. Also, I will lock this background. I'll select everything here, and then I will group all of them. Maybe I will just choose another material, generic. I'll just apply this super generic grayish color to it, apply to selection, and we will see. So I will unlock everything, hide this, and then I'll get this surface. This is the key of everything we're going to operate here. I will go to the light, click this one here, and I will choose convert to mesh light. Let's see the directionality of this. This is the right directionality, so it's good. And then I'll go to perspective again. If we click render, this is what we're going to see. Okay, so we sort of turn this disk into a light. For our rendering, we want it to have this bluish color. So I will select it. I will choose color and texture. I'll go to somewhere here, blue. And I will choose this. This looks good enough. I will again lock this, unhide everything, go to perspective, and then render it. Okay, so we already got that sort of feeling. But of course, we can make it stronger by come over here to the editor and make it even stronger, maybe 60. Render again. Of course, the environment that we are relying on is this light. We can make it a little bit less intense. So I will choose this rectangle light. I'll make it maybe 11.8, and then let's render again. This is much better. And in order to make this a formal single frame rendering, I can click the editor. I will click right here, make sure that I click off this interactive setting, and then I'll click off the progressive. I will make this high, and I'll go all the way to the render output, make this 3000. I'll go to the frame buffer again. Maybe this is too small, so I can zoom in just a little bit. I can simply zoom in, or I can just right click it, properties, and then I can change the length a little bit. Maybe I'll change it to 60 and hit OK. Double click it, and then we can do a formal rendering. Of course, you should click start a non-interactive rendering, and this is what we're going to get. And after a while, we finally get this rendering. So you can see that it's very high quality, and the reflections in between is pretty good. And also you can use display correction here to change some settings. But of course, you can bring it into Photoshop. And of course, if you add some edges detail here, it will look even better. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to see you in our next tutorial.